Are India and the US preparing for war in the Indian Ocean? Reports say officials in India and the US are currently auditing the Kolkata port. What for, you ask? The possibility of a Master Ship Repair Agreement, or MSRA. It's a legally non-binding agreement, one that's signed between the US Navy and private shipbuilding contractors for the repair of US Navy vessels. Basically, the US is looking to repair its naval vessels in the Kolkata port. Now, this is where Kolkata is on the map, in the extreme north of the Bay of Bengal. Why does a US Navy ship need to sail all the way up to Kolkata when India has facilities in Visakhapatnam near Chennai? Why Kolkata then? Unless the story here goes beyond the ship repairing. In July 2023, the US signed a deal with Larsen & Toubro. The Kattupalli shipyard near Chennai became a master shipyard for the US naval ships. The 5-year deal made Kattupalli the first master shipyard for US naval ships. And after the agreement was signed, the US Consul General in Chennai, Judith Ravin, said, and I'm quoting here, "This agreement will serve to strengthen our nation's strategic partnership and contribute to a free and open Indo-Pacific." Now, cut to September 2023, Mazgaon Dock and the US signed the MSRA. In April this year, US Navy entered into MSRA with the Cochin shipyard. This was the third MSRA with the United States. And now you have talks of a possible agreement involving the Kolkata port. Reports say Goa shipyard too is also being considered, as is the Pipavav shipyard. So what really is happening? What do you make of these agreements? The US is clearly keen to make India a hub for its ship repairs in this part of the world. In fact, in June last year, Pentagon's press secretary, Pat Ryder, had said that the US aims to make India a logistics hub for America and its partners. Let me read out his statement for you. "We intend to support India in the creation of logistics, repair, maintenance infrastructure for aircraft and ships. That is obviously something that will be important as we work together to preserve a free and open Indo-Pacific." Now, this is also an endorsement of Indian repair technology. There is no doubt that India's repair facilities are world-class. It is capable of undertaking ship repair and refits, and such agreements help India's indigenous production goals as well. The government of India, in fact, has pushed for defense shipyard as part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme. India's Defense Minister Rajnath Singh has been pushing for India to become an indigenous shipbuilding hub. So these agreements are definitely in India's favor. They are a win for India. But like I was asking you, is there more to the story? Now, if you noticed, both of the US officials, the Pentagon press secretary and the US Consul General in Chennai, mentioned a free and open Indo-Pacific. You see, one cannot ignore the presence of a common adversary in this part of the world. Of course, I'm talking about China, the expansionist, aggressive China. It's not just provoking India in the Himalayas, but also provoking countries at sea. Chinese activities around Taiwan are on the rise, as are incidents of face-off between China and the Philippines. Earlier this week itself, Chinese Coast Guard once again fired water cannons at the Philippine vessel near the Scarborough Shoal. Manila summoned the Chinese envoy. It accused China of harassment and dangerous maneuvers. It was the Philippines' 20th protest this year against the Chinese Coast Guard and Chinese fishing vessels. In the last 2 years, Manila has made a total of 153 complaints, 153 of them. These numbers are not comforting, are they? If anything, they point at the worsening of the status quo at sea and of possible dangerous escalations. And guess what? The US has pledged to defend both Taiwan and Manila if the need arises. For long now, signs have been pointing at a wider war at sea, with experts saying that the sea is where the next big war would be fought. India is commissioning new naval bases, modernizing its infrastructure. China is aggressively expanding its navy. Its advanced third aircraft carrier just began sea trials. We told you about the Fujian yesterday. The US, on the other hand, is fighting serving backlog at home. It is looking for new shipyards. It's looking to sign deals with as many Indian shipyards as possible. And this not just helps reduce the burden at home, but also enables the US ships to stay in the Indo-Pacific for longer. Which then brings me back to my question. Are these ship repair agreements pointing at war preparation? And even if they are, should you be surprised? India and the US have steadily been working together in preparation for the worst. The two strategic partners, information sharing, sharing critical defense technology. There is already an agreement in place allowing America to refuel in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. In the year 2020, a US long-range maritime patrol aircraft refueled at Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The fully armed P-8 Poseidon aircraft landed in Port Blair during the peak of the Ladakh standoff and months after the Galwan skirmish. Cut to present, 3 US naval ships have already been repaired in Kattupalli. In a first, a British Royal Naval ship also arrived in Kattupalli for repair. It happened early this year. In March, the UK's LRG, or Littoral Response Group, arrived in Chennai. The British Navy ships conducted maritime exercise with the Indian Navy, and then the UK High Commission said that the ships would undergo essential maintenance near Chennai. A defense advisor of the British High Commission told the media that the visit of the Littoral Response Group attests to the UK's capability and commitment to the Indo-Pacific. In other words, this is not a black and white story. This is about logistics and maintenance. It is a story of the fast-changing geopolitics, about the preparation for the worst, a possible war at sea. Just look at where India's Andaman and Nicobar Islands are on the map. That's very close to the Malacca Strait. 80% of China's imported oil, in fact, passes through this stretch of water. You see the Indian leverage. The US needs India if it wants to counter China. It needs to work with India if it wants to win a war against China at sea. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.